first Empowered Senior Speaker Series of 2025. I am absolutely blown away by the number of people here, but I truly, truly appreciate that we're obviously hitting the mark in terms of community need. And we're happy to be bringing these sessions to you. Extend a warm welcome to our first time visitors, and show of hands, how many would that be? Holy smokes. So thank you again. These sessions are held monthly here in this room on the second Wednesday of every month. We've got a schedule outlined for the entire year, and you are more than welcome to come back, and I certainly hope you do. The feedback that we've had from our past sessions has been extremely positive, and as you can see from the number of people in the room, it's been very well received, and we hope that today you find our presentation, again, valuable, useful, informative, and most importantly, empowering. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Marian Gord, and I'm a real estate broker here in Burlington. I specialize in working with older adults later in life moves, and it's through my experiences that I came to realize that sessions like this were needed in the community. There's always lots of questions and perhaps lots of information online or lots of information out there, but you never really know who to turn to, what's accurate, what you can rely on, and then also who you can rely on. So I'm proud to say that I've got a fabulous group of educational partners who are supporting me in this initiative, and without them, it would be very difficult to put these sessions on. They contribute obviously financially, but as well with their being here and their being available to you, having the opportunity for you to ask them questions, to connect with them, and perhaps you don't need their services today, but potentially you will in the future, and at least this is your first line of defense. We look forward to growing our educational partners so that we have a more comprehensive group of senior service providers, but at best we've got 12 of them with us, and I think it's a great start. So just by way of introductions, we'll just let them tell you who they are.
Hello, so I'm Elizabeth. I'm with Bayshore Home Health and the Neighborhood Health Teams. I'm a nurse. We provide nurse-led home care services. So we have PSWs and caregivers to help you with any and all of your daily tasks, as well as support from a registered nurse.
Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm with Compassionate Care Collaborators. We are end-of-life doulas or coaches. So anything to do with end-of-life issues, we can help you navigate the questions that you might want to ask yourselves and determine what resources you might need, and really just be a companion to you at the end of life.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Bach. I'm an elder care planner. My company name is Fluid Senior Transitions, and I help people navigate the healthcare system, help them to transition at that time of life when they need to go into retirement living, and I help them to determine what level of care would be the best for them. And then I also help people to age in place and to plan ahead, to get you thinking of all the things that you need to actually plan ahead for and have a bit of an understanding of what you need to do. So I can help, and I work on an hourly basis, so you can get as much or as little help as you require.
Hi, my name is Irene. I'm from 360 Downsizing. I'm a certified transition specialist helping seniors move. We do home staging, preparing your home for sale, and we do online auctions to clear out the contents.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kim Rutledge, and I'm with Vistamere Fieldgate Retirement Living in South Oakville. And I'm a sales consultant there. My role there is to meet with the families that are currently researching within the area and helping them decide and learn if Vistamere is a good fit for them. We're a small community retirement home with 94 suites, ranging anywhere from a studio to a 2-bedroom, and we're just a small story, 2 stories. So you're welcome to come and visit anytime.
Hi, my name is Jerry Siak, and I'm the owner of Quality Care Burlington here. We provide home care, flexible home care to the community, and our services starts from anywhere from 20 minutes onwards, and also we do provide medical and non-medical care.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Meredith Joachim. I am one of the hearing instrument specialists that work at Hearing Well Matters, just around the corner over on Maple and Maple Crossing. And we can help you with anything to do with your ears. So whether that's earwax removal, new hearing aids, fixing old hearing aids, anything you need to do with your ears, come and let us know.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sunnix. I'm a funeral director with Smith's Funeral Home. My specialty is pre-planning, getting things done ahead, and then also afterwards, which is helping executors with their checklist and their benefits. And we're the only family-owned funeral home in Burlington. So nice to see everyone.
Thanks, everyone. I'm not here today, but also part of our educational partner group is Paul Kudjar. He's with a company called Senior Care Access and Lifestyle 55 Network. They are a group of Senior Care Access is an online database of senior homes right across the country. So it's a fairly extensive database of properties that you can determine whether a home that you may be interested would meet your needs. Also, Rifat Talukder, she is with Parkland Ancaster. It's a newly built retirement community in Ancaster, going from full independent living to full assisted living. Very unique and different kind of complex out in Ancaster. Also, not here today is Neil L. White. She's with Raymond James, the Family Advisory Group. Unfortunately, she had a fall on earlier this morning and she's actually in Merge getting checked out. So, but the message actually here is, and what she said to me is the message is, don't be so fast, like take it slow. So I think that's an important message for all of us today, because it's easy for accidents to happen, and no one plans for an accident, but it just happens so easily. So be thinking of Neil and hope that she's not hurt too badly. And then also lastly is Grant Hooper. He's with Chartwell Retirement Residences, also one of our strong educational partners. So thank you all very much. I'm very grateful to have you here, and I'm sure that the folks in the audience will benefit from your services. Also, just thank you very much again to Ida Gabuza and Lisa Bilodeau, the girls at the front door, who are madly trying to find you a place to sit today. So I appreciate that people have registered in advance and some haven't, and if you haven't registered in advance, you're more than welcome to attend, but please just bear with us as we try to find spots for everybody. I do the best that I can to judge how many people we're going to have in the room, and as you can see today, we've been kind of taken by surprise a bit, but that's okay. We're glad you're here, and we will do everything we can to accommodate you. So we have put out evaluation forms and contact lists for our educational partners and our speakers. So if you are a couple and you can share yours with your neighbor, someone who doesn't have that form, we'd appreciate it. Also, notepads and pens are on your spots. If you're not going to use it and someone beside you can make use of it, then please do be kind enough to pass that along to them. Also back with us today is Sarah. Sarah is one of my behind-the-scenes people. She looks after my marketing and social media, and so she's going to be out snapping pictures. And if you don't want your picture taken or you don't want to see it on in a public spot, then please do let her know. But it's great to have her here, and hopefully she'll be able to catch some of the very exciting minutes of our presentation. And then also, for those of you who were here in December and contributed to the food drive, thank you very much. That's just about one bin. We actually took 2 bins, or actually they came and picked it up. But the Burlington Food Bank is something that sadly is needed in our community. The needs are growing daily, weekly, monthly, and for us to be able to contribute and participate in that and help to make the difference in the lives of others is very much appreciated. And then today, before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. So in terms of the parking, please, if you've come in and used the parking lot, we're on the honor system, and we've asked that you pay $3 at the desk. That would be good for the day. So if you haven't paid, if you are in the lot and you haven't paid, please do that. I'm sure that they would appreciate getting some cash for the parking. At the end of our presentation today, we'll have a general question and answer period, so please just, that's the purpose of the notepads and the pens. Please just note your questions and we'll have those taken up at the end of the presentation. We'll come around with the microphone so that everybody can hear and we don't have any one-on-one conversations. If you've got it, yes ma'am.
They said at the door that parking is free for people coming to this.
Today? All right, well I'll have to thank them for that, but that's good to know. So if you paid your $3 and maybe go back to the back or something like that. Thanks for sharing that. So yes, so the notepads, the notepads are here for your questions. Also, if you've got a pen, those are new pens, and you might think they don't work. It could have a little red nib on the end of it, and it's the nib that's there you need to remove it, and then it will work just fine. Just ask that you please turn off or silence your phones so we have as few interruptions as possible. You have handouts on your chairs. Again, those are showing or have the information about our presenters and myself and our educational partners, everybody's contact information and a summary of what they do, but also an evaluation. So it's important that you do complete those evaluations. We are using them to plan our future sessions, and in fact, the feedback from the last couple of sessions have guided me in establishing all the sessions for this year. And then also this month, I'm asking, looking at having a sort of a seniors expo in April, and it's an event for you, so it's important that you provide the feedback and who you would like to see as exhibitors there. I'm more than happy to do what I can to get those types of service providers in with us. And then lastly, if you are at the back or anywhere in the room and you're having trouble hearing or you're not hearing us clearly, please do put up your hand. We don't want anybody to go home and say, I couldn't hear what was going on and not coming back. So it's important that everyone here is engaged in our conversation and presentation. And then, so we're on to today's presentation, and that's why you're all here. It's called Caring for the Aging Mind and Prioritizing Wellness Later in Life. And I guess just like we talked earlier about Neela had a fall today, unexpected fall. So what can we do to help put ourselves in less risky positions? And I think maybe the talk today is going to focus quite a bit on wellness, but on what mental wellness, mental health. So we're looking forward to hearing from our two presenters today. We have Jennifer Murdoch. She's a Bachelor of Arts, and sorry, I'm not sure what MAC is. All right, Master of Arts, Counseling and Psychology, and she's a registered psychotherapist. She's a skilled and empathetic psychotherapist committed to supporting seniors through life's various challenges, including anxiety, depression, and stress management. She utilizes evidence-based approaches such as cognitive behavior therapy and solution-focused therapy to help clients build resilience and improve their mental well-being. And also with her today is Anna Zabel? Adrian, sorry. She's a community program manager at Peachey Counselling and Family Support. Her role involves developing and managing Peachey Counselling's community-based therapeutic programs and services. And Adrienne is passionate about building inclusive and supportive communities where everyone has access to mental health resources and education. So, happy, help me welcome these two fine ladies for their presentation.
Thanks, Marian. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here today. I'm so happy about the turnout. Marian tells me that it's more than she expected, so that makes us very happy. Can everyone hear me okay?
Can you talk louder, please?
A little bit louder. Good? Closer. Okay. Here, maybe I'll pull this up a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. So, like Marian said, my name is Adriana. I'm from Peachey Counseling and Family Support, which is a local counseling and psychotherapy practice. We are located in Burlington, so right around the corner in downtown Burlington. and we also have an office in Oakville. We are a team of registered social workers and registered psychotherapists who provide in-person and virtual and over the phone counseling to individuals, couples, families, children, all of the above. We are very happy to be here today to be talking to you about something that we feel like is incredibly important, which is taking care of your mind, and why and how to prioritize your mental well-being as you age. So we all know that taking care of our physical health is a crucial aspect of living healthier and happier and longer lives. It's something that we've probably heard our whole entire lives. Go and exercise. It will make you live longer. But we're here today to talk about your mental well-being and how it can become a priority or continue to be a priority as you age. So I don't know if there's any gardeners in the room. I'm a gardener myself. I like to use the analogy of the mind as a garden, meaning that in order for your mind to flourish the best that it can be, it needs to be tended to just like a garden. So today we're going to be exploring how you can nurture your mental well-being and your mind, and how this can lead you to live a more joyful and fulfilling life. And we're hoping today isn't a super dry lecture sort of type presentation. So if you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask, but we'll also have a Q&A period towards the end. And we'll also maybe ask some questions of you throughout the presentation, and we definitely encourage everyone to participate in that. Okay? Okay, let's get into it. So I feel like I might just skip this slide because Marianne already kind of introduced us. So, but yeah, my name is Adriana Zabel, and I'm joined today by Jennifer Murdoch. Jen is a registered psychotherapist qualifying who works out of our Burlington and our Oakville offices. So we're really excited to be here. Okay, so what can you expect from this presentation? So I wanted to give a little overview of how we're going to spend the next hour together. So today we're going to talk about health and well-being. Specifically, we're going to discuss the difference between physical health and mental health. Later on, Jen's going to talk about understanding mental health and what that looks like as you age. I'm going to talk a little bit later about breaking the stigma surrounding mental health, so all of those things that come up when maybe we talk about mental health with other people, we're going to be talking about that. Later on, Jen's going to also spend some time talking about strategies to cope with declining mental health, and also some preventative measures that we can take to ensure that our mental health is good as we age. Specifically, we're going to be talking about therapy. Okay, so let's put ourselves into context and talk a little bit more about what it means to prioritize health and well-being as an older adult. So obviously, since you're all here today, and I feel like it's everybody's New Year's resolution to get out there and learn these new things, since there's so many people here today. But I want you to give yourselves a pat on the back because you're here at a presentation on how to prioritize health and wellness. So obviously, this is an important topic to you. We believe that taking this step is a big commitment towards your future health. So that's wonderful. Okay, as we move through life, one of the things that we can always count on is change. Whether it's changes in our physical health, changes in our living situations, or changes in the people around us, life really is just a continuous journey of transitions. And this is why maintaining good mental health and mental well-being is so crucial. Being mentally resilient allows us to adapt to the changes that life throws our way with more ease and a sense of balance and a sense of purpose. We obviously believe that our mental well-being, if we have good mental well-being, we build the inner strength needed to face new challenges and embrace new opportunities. It allows us to obviously stay connected to our loved ones, remain engaged, do the things that we enjoy, and continue growing and learning no matter what. Obviously, aging requires us inevitably to adapt. Our bodies and minds obviously may not work the same way they did years ago, but this is very much a natural part of life. Adaptation really means finding new ways to stay active and engaged and connected. It might involve discovering a new hobby that you never did before, adjusting your daily routine, or maybe seeking out a different type of support that you didn't know you needed. Planning for the future obviously becomes increasingly important, and I love that there's so many people here who offer planning services. Financial planning is obviously important, but I'm also talking about planning for, let's say, your healthcare needs, making sure that you stay mentally and socially active, or making decisions about where you want to live. And as we journey through life, we inevitably encounter challenges. Some of these challenges may stem from past events that have happened in our lives, maybe experiences that we've gone through that have shaped us in really, really profound ways. Whether it's, for example, the loss of a loved one, or a difficult upbringing, or some sort of trauma that we've experienced throughout our lives, a lot of times these experiences can linger in our mind and influence actually how we perceive the world and how we navigate what comes our way. And it's not just the past that can also make life changes difficult. The present also has its own set of challenges that come our way. And as we age, sometimes these challenges actually can become a little bit more pronounced and test our resilience and our strength in ways that we never thought that they could. And by acknowledging the impact of our past and our present experiences, we can really begin to address them head on, finding new ways to heal and to grow in the process. So, caring for the aging mind, which is what we're going to be talking about today, means recognizing the unique challenges that come along with it. And it means creating spaces for yourself where you feel supported and you can openly discuss any fears and concerns you might have without judgment. Okay, so obviously we're mental health clinicians here, and we're from a mental health practice, so let's talk about mental health. I did have a question before we get into it. Does anybody want to share what they think mental health is? What is mental health? You just raise your hand, you can shout it out. Maybe no one wants to. Any ideas? Great, no one knows. That means you should all be paying attention. Okay, so obviously myself and Jen have our own definitions that we use anecdotally with clients oftentimes about what mental health is, but I wanted to bring a more official definition to you all today, and perhaps we can chat about it later as well. Okay, so the World Health Organization has a definition of mental health. They say mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well, work well, and contribute to their community. It is an integral component of health and well-being that underpins our individual and collective abilities to make decisions, build relationships, and shape the world we live in. Does anybody's definition of mental health align with this one? Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive, right? When I first read it, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to use this. I like what they say here. It's an integral component of health, and that it underpins our individual and collective abilities to make decisions. So obviously, it influences a lot of what we do in everyday life, which is very interesting, and we're going to talk about more today. They go on further in their definition. They say individual, psychological, and biological factors, such as things like emotional skills, substance use, and genetics, can make people more vulnerable to mental health problems. Likewise, exposure to unfavorable social, economic, geopolitical, and environmental circumstances, so things like poverty, violence, inequality, and environmental deprivation, also increases people's risk of experiencing mental health conditions. So I wanted to add this in here because it kind of speaks to the environmental aspect of mental health. I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on the individual when it comes to mental health and what their mind is like or what their mind is made up of, but this one sort of puts more emphasis on what happens in an individual's life to cause them mental health conditions or concerns. And then I added in a definition from the Government of Canada. So they say that mental health is the state of your psychological and emotional well-being. It is a necessary resource for living a healthy life and a main factor in overall health. It does not mean the same thing as mental illness. However, Poor mental health can lead to mental and physical illness. Good mental health allows you to feel, think, and act in ways that help you enjoy life and cope with its challenges. So I added this one in here as well because it says that the relationship between mental and physical health, which is what we're going to talk about today, also says that mental health is a main resource for living a healthy and happy life and a main factor in overall health. So all of these definitions really show the importance of having good mental health in our lives. Okay, so now that we've talked about what mental health is, let's look at the stats. So I have some stats here about mental health specifically for seniors and older adults in Canada. So right now, about 1 in 4 Canadian seniors are living with a mental health concern. So that's 25%. That's a significant number of adults facing challenges that impact their day-to-day lives. 12% of older adults aged 65 and older report feeling socially isolated. Feeling isolated can make it hard to stay positive and connected, and overall affects our well-being. I'm sure you can all agree with that because we're very socially connected being here today. So you can agree likely with its importance. Up to 20% of older adults in Canada experience symptoms of depression, and this rate can actually climb as high as 40% for those individuals who are staying in hospitals and long-term care homes. And then the last one I have here is 362,000 seniors report having an anxiety disorder. So we know that anxiety can really interfere with our everyday life and our peace of mind and make it difficult to enjoy life. And then additionally, 120,000 seniors report having experience with post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. Okay, so let's talk about mental and physical health. Mental health and physical health. So in the previous definitions about mental health, it was stated that our mental health is a key factor in our physical health. But what exactly does that mean? What does that look like? There have been many studies completed throughout the years about this very concept, which they're trying to tease out the connection between these two and what exactly that looks like. So I've included a quote here. It says that mental illnesses can actually slow healing from physical illnesses, which is a pretty aggressive quote, I feel. So as we get into the discussion today on how to take care of our minds as we age, I really wanted to highlight this point and how closely connected our mental health is to our physical health. And if you think about it, there's many instances when we can see that this is the case. For instance, if you're feeling anxiety, a lot of times there will be physical manifestations of your anxiety in your body. Maybe you will have a headache. Maybe you will have stomach issues. Maybe you will have high blood pressure, or maybe you will have heart problems. And if you're experiencing, for example, constant depression or feelings of sadness, this can actually, it can impact your energy levels and make it really hard for you to stay active and engage in the activities that you enjoy doing. And things like chronic stress and chronic anxiety actually over time can weaken our immune systems and make us more susceptible to things like illnesses and infections. And mental health challenges, I'm sure we can all agree or resonate with the fact that they can affect our sleeping patterns. I know that I have often been laying in bed late at night and my mind won't turn off because I'm so anxious about something and I can't sleep. And then the next day, you don't have a good day because you're sleep deprived. And obviously, persistent fatigue and other health issues can come along with those challenges, right? And then on the other hand, when we take steps to improve our mental health, we can often see positive changes in our physical health as well. So when we manage our stress, when we stay socially connected, when we do the activities that we really enjoy doing, this actually improves our immune function and enhances our overall quality of life. So this is the way that mental health and physical health are so interconnected. So throughout this presentation, let's remember that taking care of our minds isn't actually just about feeling better mentally, it's kind of that whole body health. So if you prioritize your mental wellness, you're also supporting your physical health, and that allows you to live a fuller and longer life. And before I pass it over to Jen, I just wanted to also say here today that it's important to remember that things like anxiety and depression are not inevitable parts of aging. A lot of times we grow up and we have heard things throughout our lives. You know, we hear statements like, you know, depression is normal and to be expected in older adults. You're just gonna get old and you're gonna get sad, and that's it. Or aging makes you unable to adapt or change to new things or learn new concepts. You're set in your ways, and that's it. And while some conditions are common among seniors, they are not, things like anxiety and depression are not unavoidable consequences of getting older. And with the right support and care, we can manage and even prevent these mental health challenges from happening. So now I'll pass it to Jen, and she's gonna talk a little bit more about understanding mental health.
Right, can everyone hear me okay? Just a little higher? Okay. I am just getting over a little bit of a cold, so please bear with me here. But thank you, Adriana. So hi everyone, I'm Jen. As Marian and Adriana mentioned, I'm a registered psychotherapist qualifying at Peachey Counselling and Family Support. So I'm going to spend some time talking to you about mental health and how it can be impacted by aging. So first we're going to look at the difference between mental health and mental illness. I know Adriana just touched on that a little bit, but we'll go into it in some more detail. Then we'll explore significant life transitions and what we may experience as a result of these transitions. And then lastly, we'll discuss some common misconceptions about mental health. So when we talk about mental health, we're referring to a state of emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So our mental health is the foundation for how we perceive and respond to life's challenges, form meaningful connections and relationships, and navigate through daily tasks. So when our mental health is strong, we're better equipped to cope with stress, make decisions, and maintain healthy relationships. So mental illness, on the other hand, refers to a wide range of conditions that affect our mood, behavior, and our thinking patterns. So some of the most common mental health conditions include depression and anxiety disorders. So these disorders can disrupt our daily functioning, impair our decision making, and put strain on our relationships. It's important to recognize that mental illness is not a sign of weakness or a personal failure, but rather it's a medical condition that requires understanding, support, and the appropriate treatment. So as Adriana mentioned, it can be helpful to view physical health and mental health in a similar fashion. When our physical health and mental health are strong, we're able to navigate through life with more ease. However, when we become physically ill or suffer from a mental illness, this becomes a lot more challenging. So it's just as important to prioritize your mental health as it is your physical health. And you can do that by practicing self-care, which I'll talk to you all about a little bit more later on, seeking support when needed, and educating yourself on how to care for your aging mind, just like you're all doing now. So now I'm going to spend a few minutes looking a little bit more closely at depression. So depression is a mental health condition that causes persistent feelings of sadness and changes in how you think, sleep, eat, and act. So depression is the most common mental illness in North America, affecting 1 in 6 individuals throughout their lifetime. So some common symptoms of depression include feeling very sad, hopeless, or worried, experiencing insomnia or irritability, having low energy, feeling fatigued, having difficulty concentrating, just to name a few. So what I do really want to emphasize here though is that we all get sad from time to time. We're human, that's normal. With depression though, it's that persistent feeling of sadness. You know, every day you feel sad and you cannot kind of get out of that state. So that's what depression is. Normal sadness, that's okay. So we also wanted to share this quote from the Perelman School of Medicine at the University of Pennsylvania and Aarhus University in Denmark. So it says, those diagnosed with depression, including young and middle-aged adults, were more than twice as likely to be diagnosed with dementia later in life, as compared to those without depression. So as you can see here, managing depression early on can really help lessen the impacts that it will have later in life. And this can be done through psychotherapy, which we'll talk about a little bit later on as well. All right, so let's talk about life transitions now. So a life transition is simply a process of moving from one stable stage or situation of life to another. So some life transitions may be welcomed and met with positivity, while others may be unwanted and bring uncertainty and confusion. So to grow old means to experience many of these life changes. These changes can be developmental, situational, or connected to health and illness. All right, so as we age, there are several different life transitions that we may experience. These can include retirement and relocation, which often mark the end of careers or the adjustment to new environments. There are also challenges that may come with coping with illness and disease, navigating through changes in hearing or vision, or even grappling with the loss of mobility, which can all have profound impacts on our independence and quality of life. There's also the emotional adjustment to the loss of a driver's license, which for many is a symbol of autonomy and freedom and further diminishes that sense of independence. Some of us may also experience cognitive decline, which poses its own set of challenges, affecting memory, decision-making, and our daily functioning. Finally, and possibly one of the most difficult transitions that we will go through is grief and loss, and navigating through those complex emotions that accompany the loss. So, as a result of these life transitions, you may find yourself struggling with several emotional and psychological challenges. These may manifest as increased stress levels that stem from the uncertainty of change, or feelings of confusion as you navigate through new situations. Negative thinking patterns can also emerge that are fueled by frustration and anger towards these new limitations, or even regret over past decisions. You may also experience heightened levels of anxiety and depression as you come to terms with the realities of aging. Sleep disturbances may also arise, and in some cases, individuals may turn to alcohol or other substances as a way to help them cope. So I wanted to share a personal story with you guys about my own grandmothers who have gone through some of these life transitions themselves. Both of them kind of happening about a year and a half ago. So I have one grandmother who relocated from Kingston to a Chartwell retirement home in Oakville, and she also experiences some cognitive decline. So that was a very difficult time for her because she spent a good chunk of her life in Kingston, was downsizing from her home into a small apartment unit, having to get rid of a lot of things that were of sentimental value, where she spent a lot of time with my late grandfather, a lot of her friends, organizations that she was part of. She was quite upset and frustrated and confused, and being closer to family was helpful. She has myself and my parents and my sister for support, but not everybody has that support. And my other grandmother broke her hip about a year and a half ago, and with that came mobility issues. I had to move in to help take care of her, and with that came a loss of independence. She also lost her driver's license. So for someone who is very independent, having to rely on someone else to take them across the street just to get some milk or bread was very frustrating. And living with my grandmother, I can see firsthand just how difficult these changes have been on her. But again, she's fortunate to have that support, but I recognize that not everybody has that support available to them. So what we really want to highlight and emphasize here is that it's okay to reach out and ask for help when you need it. Nothing to be ashamed of. We all need that extra bit of support in our lives. So again, I want to reiterate, it's important to note that it's okay and normal to experience these things in response to difficult challenges and transitions, but you do not have to do it alone. All right. So now that we've explored the distinction between mental health and mental illness and talked about the significant challenges and life transitions that we encounter with aging, I wanted to discuss some of the common misconceptions that surround mental health and mental illness. So one common misconception that people have is that those with mental illness are violent. However, the vast majority of people living with a mental illness are not violent, and actually attributing violence to mental illness only contributes to the stigma and discrimination that those living with a mental illness face. Oh, sorry. Okay. Another misconception that people have is that mental illness is a result of personality or character flaws. However, it's important to recognize that mental illness is a legitimate medical condition and not a result of some moral failing or personal weakness. One misconception about mental health that I'd really like to highlight here is that people can just snap out of it if they tried. While it's understandable that some people believe individuals can just snap out of a mental health challenge, the reality is a lot more nuanced than that. Mental illness is more than just a matter of willpower or attitude. It's really complex, and oftentimes there are biological, environmental, and other psychological factors at play. So just as we wouldn't expect someone with a physical illness to, just snap out of their condition, it's unrealistic to expect the same from individuals dealing with a mental illness. And then the last misconception that I'm going to look at here is that mental health, it's obvious when someone's struggling. So while some mental illnesses may manifest visibly through significant mood or behavior changes, many individuals do not display obvious signs. And as I just mentioned, mental illness is very complex and symptoms are not always apparent. So many individuals will also try to conceal their struggles due to fear of judgment and stigma. So now I'm going to pass it back to Adriana, who's going to talk to you about breaking the stigma that's attached to mental health.
Hello again. Okay. Breaking the stigma surrounding mental health. So I loved what Jen said about the common misconceptions about mental health because it just leads so nicely into this next topic that we're going to talk about. So, stigma. What is it? Stigma is something that likely we have all experienced at some point in our life in one form or another. Stigma is when someone sees you in a negative way because maybe of a particular attribute or characteristic that you have about you, and then as a result of that, they end up treating you differently because of it. So I wanted to talk about this at length today, but I wanted to start by talking about some prominent figures who have experienced mental health issues and their experience with stigma as well. So let's talk about mental health and celebrities. Does anybody know? Is anybody a basketball person? So I have a couple of quotes here from some prominent celebrities who have spoken out about mental health and the stigma surrounding it, and I just thought it would be impactful to share it with you today. So I have a quote here from Ben Gordon, who's a professional basketball player, and I'll just read this out. So he says, when it comes to mental health issues, the biggest thing is to embrace and accept it and understand why in order to attack it. It's really no different than pulling a hamstring. You've got to go into the trainer's room and put ice on it and do all these different exercises. It's the same thing mentally. You want to make sure that people understand that it's something that, one, you can attack and it can get better, and two, that just by hoping it gets better, that's not necessarily the best strategy. It's okay to seek help, it's okay to get help, and it will get better. I have another quote here from Amanda Seyfried, an American actress. If you've seen Mamma Mia, great movie. She says, a mental illness is a thing that people cast in a different category from other illnesses. But I don't think it is. It should be taken as seriously as anything else. You don't see the mental illness, it's not a mass, it's not a cyst, but it's there. Why do you need to prove it? If you can treat it, you treat it. Princess Diana spoke about mental health and the stigmas that she experienced before. So I have a quote in here from her. She says, when no one listens to you or you feel no one's listening to you, all sorts of things start to happen. For instance, you have so much pain inside yourself that you try and hurt yourself on the outside because you want help. But it's the wrong help you're asking for. People see it as crying wolf or attention seeking. I didn't like myself. I was ashamed because I couldn't cope with the pressures. And then the last little quote I have here is from Bruce Springsteen. I'm sure everyone knows who Bruce Springsteen is. He actually wrote about his mental health and his experience with mental health at length in a book that he wrote recently. So I would recommend that if you're interested. But he spoke about this here. So he says, all I do know is as we age, the weight of our unsorted baggage becomes heavier, much heavier. With each passing year, the price of a refusal to do that sorting rises higher and higher. Long ago, the defenses I built to withstand the stress of my childhood, to save what I had of myself, outlived their usefulness, and I've become an abuser of their once life-saving powers. I relied on them wrongly to isolate myself, seal my alienation, cut me off from life, control others, and contain my emotions to a damaging degree. Now the bill collector is knocking and his payment will be in tears. Leave it to Bruce Springsteen to have a very lyrical quote here. I would expect nothing less. Okay. So because of certain stigmas around mental health, we've seen that mental health concerns are frequently under-recognized and undertreated in all age groups, but specifically for older adults as well. So some of the stigmas surrounding mental health and aging come from things like misinformation spreading through our society. It has kind of come to be accepted as normal or fact. Maybe there's a perception that receiving mental health care is a sign of weakness or failure to cope, which is kind of what Jen touched on before. Existing fears and misperceptions of what mental health is can also influence the stigmas that people experience. And just in general, an overarching culture that undervalues aging. And this can perpetuate the idea that aging, means certain things that are negative in nature. Has everybody heard of the term ageism? Have we heard of that term before? Yes? Good. So ageism, I wanted to talk about this just briefly because it kind of relates to the stigmas, of course. Ageism refers to how we think, feel, and act towards others or ourselves based on age. So those things like stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination, and how people treat you. It could go either way, from a young person towards an older person, or from an older person towards a younger person as well. And it's important to identify our own personal biases, as well as biases that others might have about aging, so that we can work on reframing them. These biases can really be related to a number of different factors, and I have them all up here. So things like, your occupation, your education, the culture that you come from, your financial status, your class, your social location, if you're religious or if you're not, your political affiliation, your ethnicity, your children or your family, the state of your children or family, your gender, your marital status, your sexuality, your appearance, your disability or your level of ability just in general, your mental health, as we've talked about today, your personality, your hobbies, and your physical health. These all can lead to a variety of aging prejudices. And I have up on here a word cloud. We can see from this slide that there are a lot of negative stereotypes about what it means to grow older. I see some words on here: forgetful, vulnerable, grumpy, frail, slow, not anything good. So this is where I feel it's important to talk about self-fulfilling prophecies. A self-fulfilling prophecy happens when something comes true because we believed it would come true. And this has been proven with research-based evidence over the years that what we think about, we bring about. And for this reason alone, we have to be careful about the thoughts that we have and the narratives that we have about aging just in general, and take back the power from these words and not let them define who you are or who you might become. You have so much power just with your thoughts to change your aging experience. And this is where I talked a little bit earlier about, I said anxiety and depression are not absolute consequences of aging. If we spend our whole lives thinking that we will become depressed and anxious in retirement, then most likely it is something that we will manifest. That's self-fulfilling prophecy. So this is ageism and stigma at play, and we need to be aware of the weight that this has on us and how we can cope with it. So I'll pass it back to Jen, and she's going to talk about coping.
Thank you, Adriana. Now, before we get into coping, I'm just going to say here that despite, the positive mindset on making aging something to be embraced rather than feared, it's still really important to talk about how to cope with the physical and emotional changes that are an inevitable part of the aging process. So, healthy coping skills make it much easier to both manage and overcome difficult situations. The life transitions that we talked about earlier bring changes to our identities, our roles, and our behaviors because they change the way we see ourselves in the world. So, coping skills help us to navigate those changes and can be both positive or negative. Developing healthy coping skills is one of the best ways that you can improve your mental health and become more resilient. So first, let's talk about positive coping skills. So many of these skills involve intentionally trying to keep a positive outlook on life. It can be really hard to stay optimistic during tough times, but focusing on the positive and accepting what you can't change can help you maintain good mental health. So some methods for moving into a place of gratitude and acceptance include planning, which can look like taking action on things within your control during these transitions, accessing social supports to prevent feelings of loneliness and isolation, tapping into spirituality or religion, which again we recognize may not be for everyone, but if this is something important to you, it's a great way to help you cope. Humor is also up there. So using humor during difficult transitions can also be really helpful as long as we aren't brushing over the significance of the transition or change itself. And honestly, being able to laugh at ourselves truly helps increase this resiliency that we've been talking about. And finally, facing the challenges themselves. And I really believe that this is the most important point, since we have to acknowledge that these challenges and changes are actually happening in order to move through them with more ease. So we have acceptance up there as well, and I just wanted to touch on that a little bit more. And what I often say to clients when talking about acceptance is that acceptance isn't about liking something or agreeing with something. What acceptance is really, accepting the facts and reality for what they are. And when we do this, we're able to move forward the way we want to. We can choose, to accept the fact that we're aging and do nothing about it and say, woe is me, this is my life. Or we can accept, I'm aging, how can I make this the best life possible? So next, we'll look at some positive coping activities. So engaging in activities can help you take your mind off of stress, trauma, or other challenges in life. Activities that take you outside or get you connecting with those around you are especially valuable because they add variety to your day-to-day and can really help improve your cognitive functioning. So as you'll see, there are a few activities listed here. It's not an exhaustive list, but we have drawing, playing board games, puzzles, gardening, as Adriana mentioned earlier, yoga or other exercise, book clubs, volunteering, educational classes. I'm just wondering, does anybody have anything else that they think they could add to that list of coping activities?
Breakfast at the seniors club.
There you go, breakfast at the seniors club. Love it, yes. Anything else?
Someone said wine.
Cooking, wine tasting. I love it, yes. Awesome, so that was social connections at the library. Another really good resource for coping activities. I'll take a couple more. Yeah.
Was it pet therapy?
Pet therapy, very good. Aquafit as well. These are all really great. One more at the back. Water volleyball, very nice. So we've got lots of great activities here. So I'm sure the list could go on and on and on. But all of these things that you've mentioned are all positive coping activities to help with these challenges and changes of aging. So finally, I'll touch on some positive coping strategies. So it can be very difficult to cope with challenges because of a lack of motivation, energy, or ability. Although it may seem too overwhelming to get rid of bad habits, starting with small changes and working your way up can lead to meaningful and positive impacts. So because physical and mental health are inseparable, it's really important to look at this mind-body connection when we talk about positive coping strategies. So some of these include getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, eating balanced meals, taking your medication as prescribed, reducing caffeine and alcohol intake, practicing deep breathing and other relaxation exercises, which I'll do with you all very shortly, practicing mindfulness, and getting regular checkups from your doctor. All right, so now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about wellness. So when we look at wellness, this is the act of practicing healthy habits or incorporating strategies that help us attain good physical and mental health. So one habit that we can engage in that promotes good mental health is mindfulness. So mindfulness is about fostering wellness by promoting awareness, acceptance, and being present in the moment. This can lead to numerous benefits across various facets of our well-being. Mindfulness practices such as meditation and mindful breathing can really help calm the mind, reducing our stress, anxiety, and rumination. So when we engage in these mindfulness practices, we are cultivating a non-judgmental awareness of our thoughts and feelings. Our thoughts and emotions. So as I mentioned there, I do have a little breathing exercise that I'd like to do with you. It's called box breathing. So what box breathing entails is it's inhaling for 4 seconds, holding that breath for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, and then holding that breath again for 4 seconds. And this is repeated until you feel like you're in a more calm state. So if you're interested, feel free to join in. There's no obligation to do so whatsoever. But what I would like you to do is sit up nice and straight, nice and tall in your chair with your feet planted firmly on the ground. Now, I'm going to count on my fingers, and after the last one, I want you to release that breath. So no obligation to continue holding that breath, okay? So we're going to start. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. And then hold that again for 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you can release. How did that feel? Good. Did you want to go through it again? Yeah? Okay. So, sitting up nice and tall, feet planted firmly on the ground. We'll run through it once more, okay? So I want you to inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, so how are y'all feeling now? More relaxed? All right, so thank you all for participating in that. So we're going to move on to another strategy that can help with wellness, and that's self-care. So self-care is the practice of intentionally nurturing your body, mind, and soul to maintain balance and vitality, because you deserve to prioritize you. So self-care activities can vary widely and may include getting a good night's rest, nourishing your body with nutritious food, engaging in regular exercise, setting boundaries, seeking support from loved ones, practicing mindfulness like we just did, watching a favorite movie or TV show, working on a puzzle. Really, it's pursuing any activity that brings you joy and fulfillment. And as you may have noticed, a lot of these self-care activities are similar to the coping activities that we talked about. So you can really see here that prioritizing your self-care is a really great way to help cope with these changes and challenges that you may experience while you're aging. All right, so the last tip that I'm going to share with you is connecting. So connecting with others is an essential aspect of wellness as it fosters a sense of belonging, support, and meaning in our lives. So whether this is achieved through meaningful conversations, shared experiences, or acts of kindness, connecting with friends and family or other residents in the community can really strengthen social bonds and promote emotional well-being. So when we have these strong positive social connections, we tend to see lower levels of stress, increased resilience, and just an improved overall mental health. So you're in a really great place here with the Empowered Seniors sessions to really work on building these connections. All right, so before we get started on the benefits of therapy, I have a few quick questions for you all. So just by a show of hands, how many of you engage in exercise? Very good, so fair amount of you. And now, how many of you go to the doctors for a checkup? Very good. So we often do these things to take care of our physical health, even in the absence of an illness. So why not do the same for your mental health? So a great way to take care of your mental health is by engaging in individual counseling or psychotherapy. So we're really going to focus on the preventative care right now, but individual counseling offers a safe space where you talk about any concerns or challenges that you may be facing. You'll learn practical strategies that are tailored to your strengths and will help you navigate through any challenges and concerns with greater ease. Individual counseling offers valuable support in addressing both the physical health challenges and the life transitions that we talked about earlier. It also allows you to explore and resolve any past experiences or trauma that you may have, modify harmful habits or behaviors, and confront any feelings of hopelessness or any other negative feelings or emotions that you may be experiencing. But, like I said, you also don't need to wait until you have a major concern or illness to seek out individual counseling. Taking proactive measures can really help strengthen your mental health and help you continuing the life that you want and deserve. So, similar to how exercise can be done in groups, therapy also offers group settings for support and growth. So one approach that we often use with older adults is called reminiscence therapy. And so reminiscence therapy is a therapeutic group activity that's designed to help prevent the deterioration of memory in older adults. So it uses the power of shared experiences and memories to promote well-being and connection. So by guiding individuals to recall past experiences using all 5 of the senses, it fosters a deep connection to personal history. So this not only promotes social engagement, but it also helps cultivate that resilience that we've been talking about by tapping into the richness of life's journey. So by fostering meaningful connections and shared experiences within a supportive group setting, reminiscence therapy also offers valuable opportunity to explore the interconnectedness of social isolation, loneliness, and mental health. So some of the physical and emotional benefits of reminiscence therapy can include a reduction in the symptoms of depression, a greater appreciation for family history, improved communication skills, higher self-esteem, and an overall increase in the quality of life. Now, before I pass it back to Adriana, I just wanted to share another quick personal story with you guys about my one grandmother who experiences some cognitive decline and memory issues herself. So this actually just happened over the weekend. She was over at my parents' house for dinner, and we were talking about a time when her and my mom and my late grandfather lived in Germany. And just like that, my grandmother was able to recall the name of the little German town that they lived in, even said it with a slight German accent, even though she's not German, recalled going for a ride in her boss's Lamborghini, visiting different castles, and then started talking about the different countries she got to visit while she was there. And just being there and seeing my grandmother so engaged and full of life was really nice to see. She went from feeling very frustrated and confused because she couldn't remember where she put her purse or the code to get back into her room, to really thriving in a conversation, and just, you could just see that change in her. So this just really highlights the power of reminiscing and what it can do for quality of life and self-esteem, and really just boosting that morale and what have you. So with reminiscence therapy as well, different topics are selected, and like I said, the 5 senses are incorporated to really get you thinking about those times that brought these good memories, and it just puts you in a good mood. So I'll now pass it back to Adriana just to highlight some of the key takeaways from our presentation. Thank you all for being such a great audience.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up this presentation because we've been talking for quite some time today. So I wanted to talk about the key takeaways from our presentation today. I've been saying this throughout, but I'll say it again. Anxiety and depression are not absolute consequences of aging. Prevention and early intervention of a lot of mental health concerns is possible. Positive coping skills can help you navigate life's changes in a really, really healthy way. And when things get challenging, it's okay to ask for some help. So I wanted to leave on a quote. I have here, it says, "Aging is not lost youth, but a new stage of opportunity and strength." And before I finish, I'll just point out, we're right around the corner from you guys at Peachey Counselling. just in Village Square in downtown Burlington. If you ever want to stop by and say hi, give us a call. We're open to chatting. And it's been really, really fantastic talking with you all today, and thank you so much. So, if anybody has any questions, we can stick around for a quick Q&A. I believe someone's gonna go around with a mic if anybody has any questions. Yeah, okay, way in the back.
I'm not gonna run that far.
No, it's okay.
Hi, I have a friend, she's 97. She's diagnosed with dementia. And she can go through various stages, sometimes in minutes, hours, or even days. Sometimes she's alert more than anybody else in the room. The only thing she's consistent about is she'll share a beer with me. So what I'm wondering, what happens in the brain? What's going on when they go through these phases? And sometimes they're nonsensical, they don't make any sense at all, and then the next minute they're combative, another time there's some other stage, and I don't know what's happening in the brain firing that's causing it.
So dementia is a very kind of challenging disease, and as it progresses, there are those changes kind of in the brain chemistry and what have you, and it's hard to explain. We're not the medical professionals per se, so we can't speak to the medical aspect of it, but it's just kind of that deterioration in the brain that happens with dementia. Long-term recall is definitely a lot easier than the short-term with dementia. So that's where kind of the reminiscence therapy becomes quite helpful, because it's utilizing that long-term memory and that long-term recall, and can kind of help with that in the moment. But yeah, dementia is a horrible disease that unfortunately some of us do go through when we get older. But yes, to speak to what's actually happening in the brain, unfortunately I don't have the medical degree to really speak to the science behind that. But thank you for your question.
Hi, thanks for your informative talk today. We always take some golden nuggets away from these seminars. A quick question related to your service that you provide, a general kind of public question. So I'm going to go into the privatized size of your service. Is there like a set consultation fee when a person comes in? Then is a therapy type of therapy decided, and that chooses how much a session would be? Or is there anything free that you provide? Just curious.
Yeah, great question. Access is so important, right? Usually what happens when someone reaches out for support is they either come in person, or they talk to our lovely practice manager who's in the corner over there on the phone. And she provides them with some guidance on, maybe the concerns that they're looking for support with. Usually a lot of our clinicians offer a free 20-minute phone consultation, so our practice manager would facilitate that, book that in for you, and then you have the opportunity to chat with either a registered psychotherapist or registered social worker about working with them in individual counseling. Like I said, there's no cost for that, and if you really like, you could talk to as many of our therapists as you would like before deciding on which one that you'd like to book with. And then after that, if you decided to pursue individual counseling, there is a fee associated with that at our clinic. Yeah.
I just added them on Instagram. There's a deal right now for January, just to let you know.
I love that. Yeah, we have a 50% off promo starting in January, so all of our services are 50% off if you book before the end of the month, and you can use it up until, I think, the end of February. Yeah, so if you're looking to try it at low cost, now's the time.
our virtual work done?
Yeah, so we offer in-person sessions at our Burlington office and our Oakville office. So like I said, our Burlington office is in downtown Burlington, Oakville's at Bronte and the QEW. And then we have virtual services that we offer across the province and also over the phone. For that.
And I'm at both offices in Burlington and Oakville, and I do the virtual appointments as well.
While Sarah's running, I have a question for you. So, I've been in that situation myself where you get into this state where you don't wanna do anything, you don't wanna go anywhere, you're feeling really down. Your husband says to you, come on, let's go for a walk, and you say, oh, go away. So I'm gonna ask the question of, if you're dealing with someone, a family member who's in that kind of funk, how do you help them out?
So sometimes it can be very difficult because, being around someone who doesn't want to do anything, has no motivation, is being very negative, it can be very draining for yourself. So it's important to, prioritize your self-care in that moment as well. But also, don't try to fix what's happening to the other person. Let them know that you're there, you're willing to listen. What we usually say is active listening. So that's more than just, listening. It's reflecting, asking those questions, getting more information, instead of, like I said, trying to fix the problem. If they're feeling upset, ask why. Validate how they're feeling. And if you're having a hard time, that's when you can reach out for your own support. Okay?
Excellent presentation. What we need are somebody to educate our children who all have their own opinions on what you should do when you're later in life, go to a home. It's a constant battle.
It's interesting that you say that, because I did get an email from an adult child and saying that they wanted to come, either sessions at night so that they could come so they could help their parents. So I guess we need to meet somewhere in the middle.
Another suggestion is that, say you don't have funds for individual counseling, there are a lot of free support groups from various charities that often have virtual opportunities. So say you have a particular illness related to Alzheimer's, or you're a caregiver, or fibromyalgia, or lupus, or lots of different things. There are a lot of those out there, so that collectively talking about your struggles and encouraging one another is a really positive form of mental health as well.
Yeah, I'll just add something onto that as well, because it is such a good point. Although our services are private, if you're ever looking for any sort of guidance or wanting to learn more about mental health, you can give us a call. Our practice manager is really good at providing resources to individuals for services outside of us.
It's not easy access to get to a good counselor, and it just, when you talk, it seems like, oh yeah, there's services, there's not that much. So where would we go to get this free, not necessarily free, but availability in Burlington for good counseling?
We also have a list at the funeral home too for grief counseling for resources, so if people need that, we have a list as well.
Yeah, although our services are paid for, we are quite connected in the Burlington community, so yeah, we can definitely try to help you out in that respect.
Hi, very good presentation. Just a related question on sort of the financial and cost side. If you have, and many people probably have insurance of one type or another, some things covered, some things maybe not. If you reach out for assistance, obviously it's not free. Do you need a doctor's sort of certificate, referral, thank you, to qualify to get the insurance coverage? Thank you.
Yeah, good question. A lot of our services just in general are self-directed. So if you're looking for counseling with a psychotherapist or a registered social worker, a lot of times you don't need a doctor referral if you're going to pay for it by yourself. If you are looking for funding or some sort of, reduced rate counseling, a lot of times maybe you would have to go through some channels in order to secure that. Maybe that would be a doctor. The funding for counseling also comes through a lot of different avenues. For example, like the Halton Police provides funding for those victims of crimes and things like that. But yeah, for us, for our services, you don't need any sort of referral.
The Burlington Library has a program on Thursday mornings. I think they just changed their timing, so I'm not sure exactly what time it's happening, but they have a program called Just Breathe, which is excellent. It's just a bunch of us getting together and doing some meditation.
Yeah, could you repeat where that's from, just for the people in the front?
Burlington Library.
Oh, Burlington Library again.
The central one.
We should all go there.
Yeah.
It's not really a question, but really an adjunct to the previous gentleman's question of whether you need a doctor referral note. You gotta check with your insurance provider first. If they say you need a note, you need a note. Otherwise, you won't get some kind of subsidy. So that's the first go-to if you've got benefits.
What's the difference with a psychoanalyst and a psychiatrist? And, sorry? They're both? And the other question related to what people are asking is, does OHIP play a role in any way, shape, or form?
So to answer the first part of your question, so the biggest difference between like a psychiatrist and someone like myself, a psychotherapist, is that a psychiatrist is a medical doctor. So they can diagnose and prescribe medication. I can only do the talk therapy. I can't diagnose, I can't prescribe medication. I can just help, support and talk. So that's the biggest difference. And then we also have a psychologist in the middle there. And they're not quite the medical doctor, but they can do the diagnosing. So someone could come to me, I could suspect, anxiety or depression or something, and could let them know, hey, maybe you should speak to your doctor or a psychologist to get a diagnosis, if that's something that you would like, but we can't make any formal diagnosis. And then to the second part, with OHIP, so at our clinic, we are not covered by OHIP. It is just the privatized, it's privatized or your own insurance that we would take. Did that help answer the question?
Thank you very much, Adrienne and Jen. I hope everybody came away with at least one nugget of invaluable information. And just in terms of your grandmother in Kingston who moved, that's exactly what I do. So in terms of, that's really my specialty in terms of working with older adults in real life moves. It's facing all of these challenges, the the fear, the uncertainty, the not knowing, and all the emotional aspect that goes with it. So just know that there are people like me in other communities that can help families or family members. Thank you. So once again, as I wrap up our sessions, it's always this slide planned thoughtfully, and I think you've given us lots of things to be planning for, particularly when we face some challenges that may not be welcome, and how we can get through them. This session is being recorded, and I will send out an email to everyone in the next week or so with a link to the recording. And also on the Empowered Senior Speaker website, there is on the past events tab, all the previous sessions are there. So if you're new here today and you want to catch up on what we've been talking about over the last 20 months or so, they're all there. Our session next month is with Ontario Health at Home, and when you talk about OHIP, and I heard the laughter, right? So they're going to be here. That session is not going to be videotaped. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'm going to say please do register and make sure that you get yourself a spot, because it won't be videotaped. Once again, thanks very much to all of our educational partners. If you haven't had a chance to speak with them, please do. And yes, and again, the evaluation form and register for our next session. So thank you.